All opinions stated are personal and source materials will be referenced where possible. Welcome everybody. This is How to English Teach and Learn with Gav and Em.
It's a podcast about teaching and learning English as a foreign language.
And we are two experienced teachers. My name's Gav.
And I'm Em.
And we're going to talk to you about, what's today's topic?
I think we said it's about pronunciation today, Gav.
We did, because what was it last time?
Yeah, well, you cracked up, so I'm not sure.
Pronunciation.
How to pronunciation.
I did crack up.
Why not?
Yeah, why not? That's a good question. Okay, so last week we did grammar. I think we...
No, we didn't.
Oh, no. What did we do last week?
We did vocabulary last week.
Oh, no. Carry on.
Fallen at the first hurdle.
We did vocabulary last week, and the week before was grammar. This week is pronunciation, one of our favourite topics.
I should just point out pronunciation, not
pronunciation. That's it, exactly.
It's a bit of a little bugbear of mine.
It is, it definitely is. And I think both of us, when we're teaching, we consider this to be quite key to both the student and the teacher's, I don't know what word I'm looking for. It's necessary. It's absolutely necessary.
Why?
Because if you can't understand or be understood, then you're stuck. And it's not only for other people to understand what you're saying, but actually for you to understand what they're saying. So once you learn the rules of pronunciation and you understand how to pronounce words, then it means your listening will also improve.
I see what you mean, yeah.
It's good, isn't it?
It is good.
This leads me immediately into something I was teaching only a very short time ago. For example, a student might see the word F-R-U-I-T.
Hang on. F-R-U-I-T. Yeah, got it.
And would say fruit. Now, this is not the correct pronunciation. And I said to the student, well, what is it that a business person wears when they go into the office? And
suit.
They didn't say suit, they said suit.
Oh.
And
so
I said,
they already knew suit.
Yes, they already knew suit, which was lucky, because if they had said suit, then I was in trouble. So I said, so that's spelled S-U-I-T, but it's pronounced suit. So can you guess what F-R-U-I-T is pronounced? And there's fruit. And I said, yes, exactly. Now, this is not always true in English. We'll probably come to this fact of spelling is sometimes... Oh, sorry, did I interrupt you?
No, but I think, what is your point there, Gav? Because there isn't really any...
Good tips for students and teachers.
Just to
think of another word that's similar, pronunciation, maybe spelt the same way. Try to connect the two words. Imagine a fruit suit. Yeah? Also,
I just did. I love it.
I do comfortable and vegetable as well, because the students often say comfortable. So we're getting into syllables. Comfortable being 4 syllables, and vegetable being 4 syllables. Now, the way I pronounce these words, which is not the only way, but it's the way I teach, is that I'd say comfortable. So comfortable, 3 sounds, and vegetable. And I just get the students repeating it, and then eventually they will remember. Repetition, that's what we got from that.
Yeah. Repetition's good. I like what you said about the connection of the words together and thinking of that linking.
It's a good tip.
I'm just not sure about the whole pedantic way of teaching that you have to teach the way you speak, because I think students go away and they hear American
English. The way I speak?
Well, you're saying the right way. Or the
I
way
didn't. I said that's not the only way of saying those words.
You did say it's not the only way, but you said that the way you teach it is to say it, you have to say it like... Or
no, but definitely fruit.
Yes.
As far as I know, that's pronounced fruit everywhere.
This was one of my points, that it's not rigid, is it? I mean, certain words, they have to be said a certain way because that's universal, but other words, for example... vegetable or vegetable or interesting or interesting. It's not a big deal, in my opinion. If a student wants to say interesting, I don't have a problem with it personally.
Oh, that's good. Okay, well, we'll focus on different things.
I think that it's something as well to consider as a teacher, that you don't change too much the way you speak when you are teaching either low level or even at the first lesson of a group or a student.
How do you mean?
You shouldn't, I don't know what the right word is, but you shouldn't adapt too
grade
much.
your language.
Grade is not the same as changing your actual accent or your natural way of speaking, like contractions. I think we mentioned before.
What are contractions?
When you put words together, like will not becomes won't.
Oh,
like,
can, not, can't.
Yeah, it's not.
He is, he's, they are, there.
Yeah. It's not necessary.
I'll come back to that later.
Make those words separate because you think it's easier for students to understand. I think they need to get used to this natural English, the way people speak.
Yes.
It's sometimes a mistake to think that means, simplifying means becoming like robotic or making your English very artificial.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree that when teachers speak, they should speak almost exactly the same when they're teaching as they do in normal life. I think it should be the same, because then when the students are faced, as you said, by real English that's not graded or slowed or reduced or whatever, then it's going to be a real struggle for them. So I agree. I think I might have jumped a bit far ahead when I started. Do you think we should go back to things like IPA?
If you want. I don't know why it's back. It could be forward. Why could it not just be next?
Okay, so IPA, there is an alphabet that students can learn that I think is, if you go to International Pronunciation Alphabet,
thank you,
which I think you can find online if you type, it's type of beer.
It is, isn't it?
And if you type into a dictionary online, it should give you the pronunciation, and it's written in these weirdy symbols. And some people know it, some students know it, some teachers know it, but not everybody. So you can't rely on this as a teaching method.
So what do you suggest, that at the beginning of a course that you establish who knows it, who doesn't, if the teacher knows it or not, if you're going to use it on the course?
Yeah. I wonder if it's being used less and less these days. Although in the back of English file, they've got really nice pictures of bird, and it's got the sound, and horse, it's got or sound.
Yeah, they're integrated, aren't they, into the pictures, so they're not as dry as just learning the symbol.
Yeah, I think it's quite fun. You can make whole lessons about it. To be honest, I've sort of dropped it now.
Yeah.
I don't teach it very much, even though my students do use it, and they say, Gavin, what's that word? What's the pronunciation? And then I see them scribbling into their notebooks the correct pronunciation using IPA.
I think it's useful if you know it and if they know it.
That's what I was saying, sort of going back to basics, because that's how you write pronunciation. As we're talking about pronunciation, that's the basics.
A good dictionary will also just have a phonetic, is it, or phonemic? I'm never sure of the difference. The way that it's actually pronounced with the little apostrophe or whatever it is above the stressed part of the syllable. And I think most dictionaries now are using that method rather than the IPA version.
Okay. I think you might find both are available now. Yeah. So you mentioned stress. Is that important?
Yes, it is. It is important rather than impotent.
That was good. That was really good. I like how you did that. And so you're telling me that different stresses on the same words can have different meanings.
Yeah.
Is that like record and record?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, so there you might see the transformation of a noun into a verb. Happens quite a lot, doesn't it? As a stress to record is the verb, so the stress is on the end, and a record, the stress is at the beginning, and that happens a lot with nouns and verbs.
It does.
But there are always exceptions, as everybody knows.
Yeah, I think that most words, two-syllable words, follow a pattern of the stress is usually on the first syllable, but there are exceptions.
Okay.
Like hotel,
yep,
Japan. Can't think of any more.
Must be plenty more.
Yeah. Not as many as there are on the first syllable, Gav. That was my point.
That was your point. And again, you can see that in the dictionary if you want to check or ask your teacher, or teacher, learn it because you've got to teach it.
Yeah.
So that's stress, and I know like intonation, because I always say to students, English is a bit like a musical language. You hear the sort of rising tones and falling.
Yeah.
Questions are often, I think we kind of teach it that it falls at it rises at the end.
Yeah.
But I think often it falls, and you have to find out about that. And sometimes they're not really questions. Oh, it gets awfully complicated.
But you're right. I agree with you. It's not just the individual word. It's the sentence structure. It's the rhythm. It's the way that the language sounds collected together. And that's really important too. So I think pronunciation covers all these things. It's the words. It's the intonation. It's the stress.
Yeah.
It's the emphasis you want to put on certain words that you can do in English. It's great.
Definitely. Yeah. And it might not seem important to you as a student, but it makes such a massive difference on how, as we said earlier, how you stress the words or which words you stress in the sentence, because it tells the listener what's important in that sentence. And I really try to encourage that in my students and make them try to, we won't go into methods of learning this yet.
Ready, though,
I was going to say also connected speech is a massive thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
What's that?
Who'ja, no, where'ja, what other wanna, gonna. So we're connecting words together. So going to becomes gonna. So I'm gonna go. I'm going to go. And wanna is want to. I want to do something.
Good.
This is how we speak because we're sort of lazy and we don't like opening our mouths very much. So it all becomes connected together.
And it can be quite hard to convince students that that is how most people speak.
Yeah.
I think they don't believe you.
No.
They think it's a bit of an abomination.
I think the Queen of England speaks like that.
Rare, yeah.
Yeah, I think so. She says, I want a cup of tea. I think so.
Yeah.
That's how we all speak.
Sure she does.
So, yeah, it's good to encourage your students to have...
I think actually that's what I say. She's probably the only person that doesn't speak like that.
Okay.
And if you want to sound like the Queen, then fine.
Oh, that's true. That's an even better tip. But even if you decide not to speak like that, you still need to learn it because people are speaking like that. And you need to understand when they say, I want a cup of tea, that they're saying, I want to have a cup of tea. Exactly. That's it. All right. So connected speech is also important. You wanted to mention sort of some techniques or...
Yeah. Do you know what minimal pairs is?
Are they similar words? Two similar words?
Yes.
Remind me.
So there would be two columns, let's say two columns, and on one side there would be a word very similar, like vase, vase, maybe.
Vase. Isn't that American English?
Yeah, vase, and then on the other side there would be base.
Oh.
I'm trying to think of others.
Isn't it ship and sheep? Does that often come up?
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Bed and bet.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And so you have to choose one of the words to pronounce, and the other person, like either the teacher or the other student, has to indicate which one you've tried to say. So whether it's the left
So you
side.
both have a list of words, and there are two similar words next to each other.
Yeah.
And then,
And then you pronounce one, and the other person says, oh, that was on the right side or the left side. And obviously, if you've done it right, then they've said the one you've tried to say. That can be then expanded
and that clarifies good pronunciation.
Yeah.
So you've said the word well.
Yeah, and that can be then expanded on. I think you can use the words in sentences. You can start trying to construct a dialogue,
minimal
maybe,
pairs. I like
with
that.
With the words, so that you're differentiating between each word and stressing the difference in the pronunciation. What else have you got?
But specifically with teaching, learning,
how to teach it, how to practice it.
I think I've got some very specific worksheets and activities that I use. There's one where the student has to decide, they complete the sentence using the, for, and to, and they realise that each of them are weak sounds. So it's not the bank, but it's the bank, and it's not for investments, but it's for investments. So for rather than for, and not to open an account, but to open. So again, it's a weak sound of to to open rather than to open. And so we tend to do some reading activities, reading aloud. I always think is really good. So get a nice paragraph, practice that with the teacher, and the teacher can correct your pronunciation. Also, you could record yourself and listen to it back.
That. I think that's a really good thing to do. If you're not confident as a student, do it at home on your phone. Listen to how it sounds, or ask your teacher to send you some recordings of their voice or some other recordings.
Do you do that?
Yeah, I do that.
Yeah,
and then
little WhatsApp group.
Yeah, the students can play that recording and copy it and practice.
I like that. So, for example, the teacher could record some words that were key to the lesson and have little breaks after it.
Exactly.
So, example again, fruit.
Yeah.
Fruit, and then pause. And then the student could repeat the word, and then you go on to the next word.
It takes a bit of practice, I think, to get the timing right.
Yeah.
The first time I did it very quickly, and I think you need to make sure you count between each word.
Yes.
I usually say one potato, and then the next word.
You say one potato, or you think
I
it?
don't say one potato.
One potato fruit.
That would be stupid. But yes, it's like a little pause, and then they can practice themselves at home. Everybody's got some kind of app these days, haven't they, on their phone, recording app.
Something like that.
Easy enough just to send it by...
Send it to your teacher. Teacher, send it to your student. That's it. So
if
production.
you want students to send it back to you, you can check and say, well, practice a bit more on this word or whatever.
You can send them a sentence, you send them a paragraph, ask the student to record it. That's it, exactly. Listen back to it. Exactly. All right, good.
Gav, would you like a tea?
You know I only drink coffee.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think that could be arranged.
Oh?
Followers, if you enjoy listening, watching or reading Gav and Em's How to English Pod, visit ko-fi.com/How to English Pod.
That's coffee, ko-fi.com/How to English Pod. And it would be lovely if you bought us a tea or a coffee to show us support. You could even get a mention on our show if you'd like. I did want to point out some other pronunciation problems, because I think we both encounter like the TH sound, th, and then I think I remember demonstrating my index finger, and I tell the students to put their index finger to their lips.
Don't touch your mouth.
You can touch your own mouth.
Can you?
Yeah, as long as you've washed your finger.
Ooh, all right. Yeah.
This is I think we can disinfect your finger first.
Yes.
And then you can put it to your lips, and then when you say the or Thursday, then you should see a little bit of spit, a spittle, some saliva, some water on your index finger, because like the whole point is your tongue should be sticking out from between your teeth.
I agree.
It's a very specific thing that you can teach, and you have to teach. Don't take it for granted that everybody knows how to do th sound.
And if you don't want to use your finger, you can use a bit of paper and make sure that when you say Thursday, the bit of paper moves.
You're actually demonstrating that.
Yeah, I did actually put it up there, didn't I? Thursday.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't do that time.
Oh, right,
but yeah, it should move.
It's very effective. So th and sh can be a problem. I know with some students, we mentioned before in a previous episode, l and r can be really difficult.
Yep.
In the last episode, I think was it the one before, we mentioned ed, decided.
Ed, yeah, we did already,
And d, that's
it. And these, I think, are very important because, you know, if you pronounce V like w, as some students do.
Yes.
Then you end up saying, oh, there was a virus in it. And what you mean to say is there was a wire or there were wires in it.
Oh, okay.
And it sounds like
they do often talk about BMV, the company,
true, yeah.
which I think they manufacture cars or something. So these, from a teacher's point of view, you can actually go online and you can see lists of words that particular nations will do wrong. So Spanish students always do these mistakes. You know, Chinese students will make these mistakes.
Yeah.
Italians with these ones, etc., etc.
Which is why the minimal pairs are good, because they usually identify a certain sound that certain culture or nation would have problems with, and those are the ones you can focus on. You, the teacher, can focus more in detail, or the student just find out about it and think, oh, actually that sounds really
difficult, or I don't know how to make that sound. And then you can go online and you can watch videos and they show you like the pronunciation if you haven't got a teacher to teach you that.
Teacher to teacher.
Okay.
What's your opinion on funny tongue twisters, Gav?
Is that what you were doing?
No, I wasn't intentionally. I just couldn't
literally had
actually
your tongue
say
twisted.
it. What's your...
I hate them.
Hate them, why?
Because I can't do them. I just think they're pointless. I write my own
Well, that's
ones.
not the same thing. You hate them because you can't do them, or you hate them because they're pointless?
For both reasons. I write them myself and they are okay. Yeah. I think tongue twisters generally are just like fun, silly things, and the students love them, and then the students can tell you about their own ones in their own culture, and it's nice. It's a nice cultural lesson. But I think for actually focusing on improving your pronunciation, then a sentence that's written specifically for your needs, so it's got the th and the sh sounds together, so those sheets throw several, I don't know, blah blah blah, that really will work your tongue and it will improve your pronunciation. But you know, she sells seashells on the sheets, I just can't do it and I don't care.
Okay, I was going to say my favourite one, but I don't feel like I should now.
Oh, I'd love to hear your favourite one.
Are you sure?
Do you think you'll mess it up though?
I'm just wondering if I can do it in
Are you
one
warming
go.
up to it? Shall I give you a second to think about it?
No, I probably shouldn't think about it. Amidst the mists and coldest frosts, he thrusts his fists against the posts and still insists he sees the ghosts.
That's amazing.
And nobody knows who wrote that, but I think it is in a Stephen King book or something.
Okay, yeah. See, I wouldn't make anybody do that. But
Well,
if they
I'm
want
going
to,
to make you do it.
no chance.
Oh,
No, I can't remember that.
all right.
Okay. Pronunciation games. I have some pronunciation games, and there's things like little puzzles where you have to match the words. You've got a board, and it's maybe a bit like noughts and crosses or a maze or something, and then you have to match words that have similar sounds. Or there's other games where you've got where's the stress in the sentence. There's ways of demonstrating stress in sentence as well. For example, information, 4 sounds, 4 syllables, and then you say to students, right, where's the stress? It's on the 3rd syllable, exactly. That's it, information. And you can demonstrate this by counting out the syllables on your fingers, and then you point at the stressed one, so the 3rd finger represents the stress. Information, okay? You're not looking too impressed.
No, yeah, I'm enjoying it. It's good. It's perfect.
You're just learning from me, are you? Okay, excellent, good. So there's different ways of physically showing stress in words, which I think is great.
Yeah. Another nice game is Whispers. You know that one?
Whispers, is that the kids' game?
It is.
There's a sentence.
I think I played it as a kid at parties. You have, a sentence.
Is that better for vocabulary? Or?
I think it's good for, arguably.
And grammar?
It's everything, but
Okay.
it's really good for pronunciation, because if the students don't pronounce the sentence properly, they sit in a line and they say one sentence and they whisper it to the next person and they whisper it to the next person. Unless the pronunciation is perfect, obviously there will be problems with it. So mainly I think it is pronunciation practice.
You've got listening, speaking, you've got grammar, vocabulary, pronunciation, everything's in there. That's a fun
really
one.
Good all-rounder.
And it's a fun game, because usually when it gets to the end, it's just like nonsense, or it's really funny, or it's perfect, and then you've got perfect students.
Very unlikely, but yes, it is possible.
I've got some notes here. I've written YouTube.
You just wrote the word YouTube.
Yeah. So everything's there. Just like watch videos. There's so many pronunciation videos on there. And also just listen to people talking, people having conversations. Pause the video, repeat what they said, or listen to a podcast. Listen to a section.
I think we've got to say
songs, all of those. Even
really.
though the pronunciation's a bit dodgy, they kind of like, what is it? They're a bit creative with their pronunciation, but still, it's a really fun way to learn.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it's actually really good, because the songs usually fit to the rhythm, and the rhythm is usually the same as speaking would be. I think it's an excellent resource.
Oh, that's good then. You've got that, podcasts, YouTube, watching TV series. films, all that stuff. Also, conversation exchange. If you can go online, find somebody who wants to learn your language, and then you can practice English with them.
Yeah.
That's a really good thing.
We didn't mention the difference in American and British and Australian sometimes.
Canadian, Indian.
All of those. Mm-hmm. Sometimes the words are the same, but they're pronounced differently.
That is very true. You can check that in the dictionary online.
Yeah. Usually it tells you if it's aluminum or aluminium, for example.
Okay. British and American English. That's it. Don't rely on spelling, because everybody knows English spelling. It doesn't help you at all.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think that's everything.
That's everything.
Have you got anything else? I just keep want to say things like shoulda, woulda,
no,
could have.
I think
I could have been a contender.
Nice schwa at the end of that.
Oh
contender.
Computer or computer.
Yeah, good.
That's great. I've got loads of tips.
You're full of them.
Full of tips, right. So, anything else?
No, thanks. I'm done.
And thanks to everybody. Thanks to all the listeners. Send us emails to...
How, Gav? How can they do that?
It's in the little thing that I wrote, and it's got my email address in it.
On the show notes,
Show notes, that's the word. Exactly. Send us your ideas, your questions, any tips that you have on pronunciation or anything from the previous episodes. If you haven't heard all the other episodes, go back and listen to them.
Gav?
That's it. See you next week.
See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.